Good evening and welcome to a new edition of To The Point, the last edition for 2015. And on that note, on behalf of myself and To The Point crew, would like to wish you a very, very happy new year. May 2016 be prosperous and filled with peace. This evening we'll be looking into what has been achieved in 2015 and more importantly, what is in store for us Egypt for 2016. With us this evening is Dr. Essam Nezamy, who's a former advisor to SCAF. A pleasure to have you with us.
Thank you.
With us also this evening is Dr. Walid Gamal, who is the president of the Export Council of the Building Materials, and he's also a board member at the Egyptian Federation of Industries. A pleasure to have you with us. Gentlemen, it's been tough. The road ahead is not smooth. There are some bumps, but starting 2016, we really have no excuse as Egyptians not to get our act together and work. If we can start with what is the major achievement on a political front from your perspective in 2015?
First of all, I want to send my feelings regarding for the whole world for the coming years. We have to express our hopes that the peace will spread over the whole world, because as we learned from our prophets, we like to live in peace. We express even in some situations that we like to live in peace, and we are peaceful countries, and Islam is a peaceful religion. So I hope the coming years will be more peaceful, and the situation will calm down in the area. And this year, I think the achievement in our political situation that we succeeded in the parliamentary election. This is a good achievement in the roadmap. Also, the opening ceremony of new Suez Canal was fantastic. And this is good achievement for our country, and I think, or I consider it a gift for the whole world, for the economy of the world. And it carries a message for the world that we like to live in peace. We send message through this project that we support the economy in the whole world. I think another situation that for our neighbors in Syria or our brothers in Syria, I'm very happy that they withstand in fighting terrorism, and the situation started to be corrected regarding their situation. The support of politically from Egypt, the support from Russia, from different countries. Also, one of the step ahead in correction the situation, because the media played a very bad game regarding our brothers in Syria. I visited Syria in last July, attending a conference for fighting terrorism, and I have seen the situation by my eyes, so I know what is the situation in Damascus. The people are fighting for survival. So I hope that Syria will regain its stability again. I think this is the major stations in my mind.
Dr. Walid, if I can ask you, as a businessman, what would you consider the main achievements in 2015?
I think the main achievements are also political. Like Dr. Essam mentioned, I think the most important part was the parliamentary elections, the fact that the roadmap has been completed, as President Sisi has promised, and it was completed on time. So that will positively impact the business environment and the economic environment. It's not just a political achievement. And I think the most important achievement, generally speaking, is that we are more or less stable in Egypt. I think terrorism, the events have decreased the government has managed
Definitely.
to stabilize the country, and we're living more or less a normal life. So that's a big achievement in and of itself.
Economically, how do you see, what is, in your perspective, the achievement?
We are still, I think, in the early stages of an economic recovery. I cannot say that we are strong economically yet. We still have cash issues. I mean, the cycle has not yet started revolving the way it should be. However, there are new projects opening up everywhere, so the government is pumping money into the economy and creating jobs in construction and other areas. However, we still have to deal with the current account deficit, with the budget deficit, and with the foreign exchange issues. So these are still challenges that lie ahead of us. So we're not there yet.
2015, who would you consider our strategic partner? Who gave Egypt the back support?
I think some Arabic countries, but first of all, before that, I think the Egyptian by themselves, by their hope in life, by their power, by their fighting for survival, and especially the Egyptian women. I consider them as the main supporter for this country. From some Arabic country, we know that we have some supporter in the area, but in an international level, I think Russia.
Who is a supporter from your perspective as an Arab country? We have to give credit when it's due.
I think United Arab Emirates and Saudi Arabia and Kuwait is the main supporter.
Yes.
And Russia, we have to consider it the main supporter internationally, and it changed the policy. It sent a message for the American. It is not you are not the only player in this area, and stop it, or made a balance in this situation. So I think Russia, frankly, the main supporter. China also is the second choice. I think the concept internationally changed completely from the sole player, the American, playing the Middle East, changing the map, distracting armies, putting their nose in different countries, like they did in Iraq, like they did in Libya, like they did in Syria. So I think Russia will be considered the first international country who supported Egypt and Syria, frankly.
Dr. Walid, who would you consider these supporters, Arabs and non-Arabs?
I think it's the same list as Dr. Essam said. I think Saudi Arabia would be number one, definitely, followed by the Emirates, UAE, and Kuwait. Internationally, I would say definitely Russia, and the most recently Russia, despite the fact that the issue with the Russian plane kind of had
Who would you consider a strong supporter? I mean, Russia played a very strong support politically and militarily.
Yes.
Who would you consider as our number one strategic partner 2015 economically? Because it's not Russia's way, it was more political and military.
Yes, there was a little bit of an economic role as far as Russia is concerned, and that's the financing of the nuclear power plant.
Yes.
So in a way, there is an impact, and it's a long-term finance.
Yes.
So in a way, we wouldn't have been able to build it without them. But economically, I think the Gulf countries, mainly GCC countries, the FDI, foreign direct investment, it wasn't the best year. We had the conference in Sharm el-Sheikh in March, but we're still at a point where I think we haven't really realized most of the projects. We are still in negotiations, and so I can't really. I think Germany was supporting us. I mean, major German electricity company arranged a loan through the
It shouldn't
German
be
government.
just the government. I mean, it's also, this question is applicable to the private sector as well.
We didn't see much private sector investment, to be honest with you. There were some acquisitions, you know, some investors came in and acquired Egyptian companies, but as far as new projects, greenfield investments, we haven't seen much in 2015. We are hearing a lot of investors saying they will come in 2016. There's a lot of noise about that. However, they're all saying one thing. They're saying we will not come in until the parliamentary elections are completed, and that has just been completed. And another condition they put in is that the currency has to be devalued. Everybody has a feeling that the Egyptian pound is overvalued and it has to come down before they bring in their dollars.
We talked about who was supportive, who was blocking our path towards development, to put it diplomatically.
Let us speak frankly. We know very well that the American, in cooperation with Israel, made some chaos in this area. And I wonder about this situation because if we speak honestly and frankly, United States of America is considered the supervisor of peace treaty signed between Egypt and Israel. And the United States of America should proceed forever to support peace in this area because this is a peace treaty. Peace means peace. Peace means that you calm down the situation in a military aspect or everything. But what we have heard and seen through many documentaries that United States of America played a dirty game to distract the army forces of Iraq and Libya and Syria and Egypt for the sake and safety of Israel for the coming years. And if we consider the international law, I don't think that this is legal or respected or accepted in an international level. And so this is something I wonder about this. I always say that this President Obama should be treated as a war criminal because he supported terroristic groups, and this is well known. And he put.
Is he the only one? What happened in Iraq under Bush Jr.?
Yes, I'm
Isn't
speaking
that crimes
about.
against humanity?
Yes, sure. I'm speaking about the American policy in the area, and this president especially because we accepted him as, let us say, carrying the flag of peace.
We thought he was when in his historic speech in Cairo University.
Yes. So I wonder.
We thought he was different.
This is a tricky game, and this is a dirty game, and he will finish his time, but the history will never forgive him for what he did in this area because we lost many people. Millions of people were killed in Syria and Libya, and millions of people were immigrated. And lost their house, and lost their life, and lost their arms, their legs, their body, whatever. This is a criminal situation that the history will never forgive them for what they did. And if they were honest now, I think we are going to be 1 year and a half that they declared they are fighting ISIS since September 2014. That they declared, Obama declared that he, with the support or with the cooperation of 42 countries, is fighting ISIS. Can you imagine? ISIS, as we said, is not a state and not a Muslim. So they are fighting terroristic group since 1.5 years.
Yes.
Can you imagine that? So this is, I think, is United States of America. We have to put a cross over.
Dr. Walid, maybe I'll rephrase the question and maybe ask you, because sometimes, even though politics and economics are two faces to the same coin, sometimes it's very difficult to separate.
Yes.
Should political relations, government to government political relations, affect economic relations? In other words, some, for example, are saying even though Egypt and Turkey do not see eye to eye politically, and we are loud and clear saying Turkey is in a phase, the current Turkish government is supporting terrorist organizations. Yet, should we not do business with Turkey?
No,
I'm asking you the businessman,
yes,
because
sure.
this is, I mean, the fact that we don't see eye to eye with American foreign policy vis-a-vis this region, does that mean we don't do business with America?
I think the emotional answer would be no, we shouldn't. But the practical
Let me talk to the businessman here.
Okay, the practical answer is no. We should do business as long as there's mutual benefit in business. However, we could use the business that we're doing to impact the policies of the other country. So we could exert pressure if we are, let's say we have a common investment with Turkish business people. We could send a message to the Turkish presidency saying we don't like your politics. We might slow down our investment. We might, or you need us for this investment. So maybe you could start to.
So you can use them as lobbying tools.
We could use them as lobbying tools. Exactly. It could go both ways. The example I use is that in the EU, you find countries disagreeing over many issues, but the trade continues and mutual benefit continues. So.
So we have to start to separate the two.
We have to start to separate the two.
What do we have to look forward to in 2016 from an economic perspective?
I think the recovery...
We've had a very hard time.
Yes.
And that's what I'm saying. What do we have to look forward to?
I think I'm fairly optimistic with few reservations, but I would say I'm optimistic overall that there will be the recovery that's starting now will bear fruit next year. We'll see the markets, generally domestic markets, moving a little bit faster than they are now. The domestic demand is recovering. However, we are facing a high level of inflation, so that might affect purchasing power, so it might have a damping effect on growth. But at the same time, I see companies are hiring again. There are local industries that are still expanding. So I'm fairly optimistic for next year.
Some say that the way we're going, we might have a hard time, or the government might have a hard time paying salaries next year.
I wouldn't go that far. There are some issues with the government budget. However, there are some good developments that happen. For example, a big part of the budget, the annual budget for the government, is going to subsidies for fuel and food, wheat, for example. Now, the commodity prices worldwide have collapsed. So we're buying fuel. Let's say today Brent crude is at $36. It was $115 a year ago.
Okay.
So the budget deficit will shrink in those areas, and that money can be used for health or education or other aspects.
Some are criticizing us for the way we're spending. In other words, you cannot have a country whereby your income, most of it is going towards salaries.
Yes.
And feeding people another chunk, and very little going into development. I mean, the way you're spending your money, if it's a household, but
yes,
let's blow it into a larger picture, we're not really spending right.
Yes, I agree. We are consuming more than we are producing.
Exactly.
So that means that the budget is going, as you said, for subsidies and government employee salaries and debt service from the previous borrowing that we keep on borrowing, and we are financing the deficit through more borrowing. So the deficit keeps getting bigger and bigger, and this is very dangerous.
What's the solution?
The solution is to reduce subsidies. This is it's a very painful solution, but
this has been done gradually. I mean,
but we stopped. I mean, we raised fuel prices last year. And there was a fuel price increase that was scheduled for July of this year, which was postponed. And it should have happened because, and this is a golden opportunity now, with oil prices internationally going down, you can then link the two. You can tell people that from now on, it will be going up and down with international prices if you link the two. We should also try to, we should do this, but keeping in mind that the least able members of society have to be covered. But the umbrella is too big.
Is the subsidy going to those who deserve it?
No, there's a lot of
Because
inefficiency.
this is it's not an
Yes,
issue
it's a
of
waste. It's a lot of
subsidy as
waste.
much as it's the issue of, am I subsidizing the right
The right
entity?
people, exactly. We're not
I mean, in
subsidizing the
tourism,
right people.
we're subsidizing international hotel chains, which
Yes.
subsidizing international charter flights. We're subsidizing the international tourist.
Yes, we shouldn't be, and we shouldn't be subsidizing middle and high-income people, which they are being subsidized
non-Egyptians.
today. Or non-Egyptians, exactly.
Which is even
so we
worse.
should subsidize only the low-income Egyptian people. There were a lot of studies worldwide that showed that when you do a cash subsidy, is much more efficient. When you have, for example, smart cards and people, like an ATM card for the people who deserve the subsidy, they get a cash amount and they buy whatever product they want. Instead of saying, no, you have to buy 1 kilogram of macaroni and 1 kilogram of rice, because their middlemen come in and they take that food and they sell it elsewhere, and the person
Yes.
who deserves it doesn't get it. But if they get cash in their wallet, then they can make their own decisions. And anytime you create two prices for the same product, someone benefits in the middle who's not supposed to benefit. So we need to move to a cash subsidy system.
What can we look forward to on a political level? And, well, things are tough because we're part and parcel of the rest. So
I'm very optimistic also regarding the coming years. I know that our government and our president is working very hard for the stability and the raising economy in this country, especially that we have seen they started to build the nuclear station in El Daba for peaceful use. I think this is a good step ahead. I think through the media and through some emphasis and some relation, we can send the messages for the world that our country is safe and stable. So if we succeed to regain tourism in our country again, because it markedly diminished last months. So I think if we regain tourism activity in Sharm el-Sheikh and Red Sea and Luxor and in downtown in pyramids and in different areas, I think this will be a good achievement. We have to work hard during the coming year, all of us, as Egyptian and Arabic, as peaceful people, to support this country. So I think that regaining tourism is the first step. Also, we have more than 10 million Egyptians working abroad in different countries, and they send a lot of dollars. I think there must be a plan how to use this money to properly be invested in this country, because it is. I think this money is spreading in the country in a bad situation, because it is not properly invested. So I think
it's usually invested in real estate. Correct me if I'm mistaken, but I think that this is what people feel is the safest investment with the highest revenue, because
and even it distracted many lands in agriculture.
Exactly.
And so I think there is no proper plan how to get benefit from this currency or this dollars or whatever this money, how to encourage the people to invest properly and for raising the economy in the country. And also we have to change some laws regarding taxes, because there is many relation which are selling and buying something without paying taxes for the government. And I think there must be some change in through the parliament. I think we have to make some laws regarding this situation, because if taxes is properly collected, I think we can raise the economy of this country.
Dr. Walid, Egypt is a very import-oriented country. Unfortunately, we reached a stage whereby we import almost everything. And one of the things that really get to me maybe is importing garlic as well. I mean, this is a very basic commodity, but I'm saying that really we import everything. When can we see Egypt an export-oriented country, since you're heading an export council, and not just in building material, but
Yes.
we export more than we import? When?
We had been moving towards that direction between 2005 and 2010. We made very big strides in that period. And then starting 2011, we started declining.
With the
until
revolution.
now. Yes, and we're still declining. Unfortunately, we've moved, lost a lot. Export comes from production. It doesn't start with export. So you have to start by removing the barriers to investment within the country. We have some barriers. The situation is not really bad, but it could be better. I mean, the ease of doing business has to be improved. People have to find it easier to get into.
And this was easy, and then it was hampered?
It never was easy. We always managed to go around the difficulties,
Okay.
but exporting was easier.
Why? Why was it easier when we're following the same rules and regulations? And to my understanding, that with the economic summit last March, and the changes in the investment law supposedly eased things a bit.
The changes in the investment law really weren't that effective, to be honest with you. One of the main issues is currency. I go again to the currency issue. Between 2005 and 2010, the euro was quite high compared to the dollar, and the Egyptian pound was quite low. So our products were cheaper on the international market. We were much more competitive.
Okay.
Now the euro has come down, and Europe is a competitor to us in a way. We export to Europe. It's one of our major partners. Now our products going to Europe became expensive. Turkey devalued its currency, and our economies are quite similar. Their economy is bigger than ours, but a lot of the products we make here, they also make. So when their currency went down, they were able to supply Europe instead of us. So we lost a lot of European markets. At the same time, in the GCC countries, a lot of Turkish products and European products start to invade those markets and replace us. So a good part of it is the currency situation.
That's why you're talking about
Yes.
devaluating
Yes,
the...
we are too expensive now.
We're
unable
too
to export.
expensive export, but if you devalue the Egyptian pound and you import everything, then what will we do?
Actually, when you devalue, you import less because importation becomes very expensive. So people
But we're importing basic commodities.
We shouldn't be. It's laziness. I mean, there's no reason why you should be importing food, for example. We're importing food from overseas. Why? I don't know. I mean, we have enough agricultural land, and this is a basic commodity that everybody eats. I think it's a question of disorganization more so than anything else.
So maybe one of the things we should do in 2016 is to reorganize.
I think agricultural policy, we need to think about it. I think the project of reclaiming 1.5 million faddans is an important project. We need to look at agriculture again. We had lost interest in it. We started saying Egypt is an industrial
Agriculture and
country.
livestock.
Exactly. Livestock and agriculture. We need to look at how to help farmers get a fair price for their products. For example, when we import wheat, we pay a higher price for imported wheat than we pay our own farmers. So our own farmers are starting to feel, well, the government is not giving me a fair price, why should I plant more wheat, for example? So we should give them incentives to plant wheat.
Encourage made in Egypt.
Exactly.
Or grown in Egypt.
Exactly. Our own government imports a lot of products. You see many big projects in the government where the specifications specify the product must be imported. For example, big hotels or big buildings in the government, they use Italian marble. We have it's not, world class, but good enough Egyptian marble. They could use Egyptian marble or Egyptian products, but still they're right, it must be Italian or it must be Turkish or whatever, which is something which is surprising to us.
Speaking, since you raised the issue of the marble, and we say that the Italian and the Turkish, whatever, are better, but when you look at them, most of the foreign marble is treated, and it's very fragile and breakable. Why do we categorize it as better?
I think it's the Khawaja complex. We always think an
When
imported
our
product
marble
is better.
seems to be more durable, it seems, but
We
yet
have
we
granite,
always...
we have one of the world's best granites in Aswan, and yet, but this is not a question of quality, but a question of internal policy. For example, to bring granite from Aswan to Cairo, you have to pay in every governor. The truck drives in, you have to pay fees every time you drive through.
So it's more expensive to bring it locally than to get it from abroad?
From China even. You can bring it all the way from China, cut and ready to install, then to bring raw
maybe
material
this is
from
another
Aswan.
policy we need to revisit.
Exactly, the road fees are
To
are
encourage
exorbitant in Egypt.
local consumption.
Yes, it's very hard to transport products inside Egypt.
Especially since this is a commodity a lot of Egyptians like because of the weather, and
Yes.
maybe we should encourage the consumption.
Exactly.
Of,
And
local
we have the
products.
quarries here in Egypt, and they employ Egyptians, and but the road policies, you have to pay. Every truck that drives on the road in Egypt has to pay high fees in every governorate, as if they're different countries. Every governorate, you stop at the border, and they charge fees. And within the same governorate, you could be stopped twice and 3 times and pay fees to different agencies within the country, and they're not even fees that you know how to calculate. It's arbitrary. It depends on who's in the road today. He decides, okay, this truck, I'll take 1,000 pounds. The next truck, 2,000, and so on. It's very arbitrary, and the money doesn't really, it goes to funds, not to the central government, but goes to special funds within the different governorates.
Yes.
And this raises our production costs and makes us less competitive.
Egypt has been selected in 2015 to head the UN Security Council Committee for combating and confronting terrorism. What do you think we can do in 2016, taking into account that, well, some large powers and key players internationally are still harboring and supporting? Whether it's intentional or not, it's a different question.
First off, I want to give a comment about the garlic, because as you know, as you mentioned, it needs some regulation.
It's also a problem with you, huh?
Sure, but you know that the Egyptian garlic is tasty, more wealthy, more healthy.
It's healthier.
Yeah, healthier. You know the price. So it needs some regulation, because the people who import any product from China, they bring it with very cheap price and in a good package. So I think it needs some regulation. How can we
protect local commodities?
Yeah, sure.
Yes.
And even regarding the marble, can you imagine that our product is exported or shifted to China? They made some chemical reaction to change its color and send it back to your market. So I think the government should take a look in this aspect. Regarding your question, I think we have changed the concept of the world from a country was subjected for or prepared to be distracted to a country started to lead the world for fighting terrorism. From a country who suffered from terroristic attack and was about to be, let us say, destroyed like what happened in Syria, to a country who lead or gather the world, and the world is waiting for his opinion or for the our president's speech regarding fighting terrorism. I think this is we are in a good situation that we are now is considered a country is a leader for fighting terrorism honestly, not like the American made. And I think we started to make balance in the political situation in Syria, and I think also that we will succeed to make some balance between different opinions regarding the stability or the situation in Syria. I think this is very good thing, and I think we will succeed to give message for the world that we are peaceful country and we like to live in peace, and what is happening with ISIS is not an Islam and is not our concept and is not the message of Islam. I think during the coming years that the world has pay attention for this message, sure, that Islam is carrying the flag of peace like different religions. Any religion carry a message for peace. I think like Jesus said and like Prophet Muhammad said, we like to live in peace, and we are peaceful country or peaceful people.
Do you think maybe since our government will be presenting a program for approval to the Parliament, do you think something should be put in that program to really protect Egyptian commodities? Because it seems over the past few years we have neglected that. Really, we need to safeguard our own interest and maybe encourage, even it's by law, through law,
yes,
the consumption of certain products, that they should be Egyptian.
Yes, a law was passed in 2015. It was signed by President Sisi in the absence of Parliament, and I think it should be approved very soon by Parliament to favor the purchase of Egyptian products by government agencies, that they should be given favorable treatment. However, it's not really applied. I mean, when you look at government purchasing, they find ways around it. They put specifications in such a way.
Which are not applicable in Egyptian products.
Exactly. Yes. So it is, we have to push more. I think as business organizations, we have to be really vigilant about this and push for it, and to anytime we find a violation, we have to bring it to the government's attention so as to stop it.
What about encouraging, I mean, we have, for example, in the materials, the clothes and stuff, Egyptian cotton is considered one of the best, even though for us Egyptians we feel it went down, yet it is still internationally recognized as one of the best. Why is it that we can get a leading brand name from abroad and we manufacture very simple t-shirt? I don't want to go into names, but I'm sure you're all aware of what I'm talking about. A very, very simple t-shirt, and this t-shirt is sold for hundreds of pounds here in Egypt and abroad, and really it's very simple. It doesn't need Einstein to do this t-shirt. Why is it, if we can manufacture this t-shirt for this product or this brand name, why is it that we don't have a t-shirt with Egypto written on it or whatever? I mean, why not? Why is it that we don't encourage? We have Egyptian designers, we have the companies that manufacture it. It's just a matter of creating a brand name, an Egyptian brand name, and getting that brand to be internationally recognized. Why is it that nobody's doing that?
There are a few cases where Egyptian companies have managed, where Egyptian companies have managed to go into foreign markets and become successful, but there are a few cases. It's not a general.
But they're not using Egyptian, they're using...
Yes. Because honestly...
They're producing an international brand name.
True, true.
I'm talking about producing an Egyptian, creating an Egyptian brand.
Yeah, I'm not aware of many or any.
There is
Egyptian
no,
okay.
I'm telling you, I'm aware. As a female that shops, I'm telling you, there isn't an Egyptian brand name.
It has something to do with what marketing experts call country of origin effect or provenance effect. When you see a product that says made in Germany, you automatically think high quality. When you see something made in China, you think low quality. Egyptian products are still not perceived.
Not all products. Because,
not all products.
Because if you see, I don't want to go into, but major shopping departments or stores, very big shopping stores, they have a boutique. This boutique is filled with those rolls of material, and it's Egyptian cotton written.
The cotton,
and you step inside to order a shirt such as the one you're wearing, you would pay hundreds of dollars.
Correct.
To get one shirt, because it's made in Egypt. Yet outside, you'd see other big renowned designers, and the shirt is for $30, $40, $50, right?
It's.
I mean, you can see what I'm talking about. You've seen it, right?
I think, as you mentioned, that there is many international brand name, which is made in Egypt in the free zone and the,
Yes,
the new
exactly.
cities. Yes.
That's why I'm saying we make
It
them.
is not made in Germany.
No, and it's
yes,
Egyptian quality.
yes, Egyptian quality.
It's the branding.
But I think the marketing, we need how to change the.
We need someone with guts.
We need a leader in the
That
market,
too.
like Talat Harb was a leader in the market, who created many banks and many companies, and
Yes.
and I think it is part of part of a war to underdevelop these countries, that we stop the manufacturing in many companies and in many factories.
This is the export, this is the import-oriented culture, because you can manufacture it, export it, and then we travel and buy it, or you sell it, or the stores here import the brand, the T-shirt, and sell it for thousands of pounds.
I think we need some let us say some leaders to change the concept of the people, to make proper marketing, to start to create a logo or a brand name. And as you know, that there is many companies who made this brand name, but in a local aspect, and if they export this product, they change the name, and it is not made in Egypt. So, but many companies also succeeded to make carpets and had a good name outside. It is a good question, and I am respecting you in this question, because my dream, why we don't have a brand name, Egyptian brand name, that even...
For something we specialize in. Egyptian cotton is the finest. We can do shirts, T-shirts. I mean, you have... I'm not asking for even suits. Just a shirt and a T-shirt.
And
towels.
Bed sheets.
Even
bed sheets.
Yeah.
This project is good for the farmer, supporting the farmer, supporting the industry,
Exactly.
supporting tourism. So it is a good show.
Exactly.
It can cover all the topics. It can cover the farmer's income.
Thousands
the
will be
factors,
working
yes,
for that industry.
starting from the farmer, designer, industry, tourism, everything. And you can make some, put some pictures or some photos for the pyramids or whatever. I think this is a good project, and this is my dream. And I hope that some creator or some leaders for the market will, and they have.
We need visionaries.
We need.
It's not a leadership; it's visionary.
The leader is someone who
And
carry
guts.
a vision, who carry vision or who have vision, and I think he has to suffer some time from maybe low income at the beginning of his project, because until the market accepting his brand name and respecting it, I think it will start to. Even I feel shy when our team, a football team or whatever, wearing some shirt made in some brand name in other countries. I feel shy for that. And up to this level that we are not able even.
Well, it's not cotton, so. Gentlemen, if I were to ask you to give a Nobel to a political figure, and not the president, a political figure in Egypt for their contribution, outstanding contribution to Egyptian political life in 2015, and to someone's contribution in an economic and a social life, the three, who would you give it to?
Nobel? I'm not interested in Nobel Prize, but I think my opinion is the Egyptians, all the Egyptian people, because all the Egyptian people, especially the army forces officers and soldiers and the police officers and soldiers who suffered in fighting terrorism. I will give them and their families who suffered from their losses or their injuries or whatever, I will give them any prize in this year and in the coming years, because they spent a lot of time and they spent their life and they spent their blood for the safety of this country. I think I will give them and our martyrs for forever, that we are stay alive and we are safe with their life, because of their life and of their injuries and of their suffers. I think all the families of the army forces and police officers, and
I was just going to say police officers as well. They've had a hard time.
And also the judges.
Yes.
Our judges who suffered for supporting justice and parliamentary election.
Yes.
I will respect them forever and send them my greetings.
Dr. Walid, who would you give a Nobel to?
I think Dr. Essam said it perfectly. I can't say it any better. I think I agree with him. The police soldiers and officers, as well as the army soldiers, the young soldiers especially, they have gone through very difficult times to defend us and to bring Egypt to stability and protect us from suffering the same fate as Libya or Syria or Iraq. I think this is something we should be thankful for. Another person, I think, I don't know if it's 2015, but former President Adli Mansour,
Yes.
who set a precedent that someone can finish his term and step aside and say
hand
thank you
over.
very much and hand over to the next president.
We haven't seen this.
I think this was a historic moment. Perhaps it
Yes.
wasn't this year, but still,
Well,
it's something.
yes.
And he also, I'm hearing that in the last day or two, he has declined to move to become the head of parliament or even a member of parliament by appointment. And he said, I am still a judge and I will always be a judge, and I'm heading the Supreme Court or the Constitutional Court, and that's where I would like to stay. So he set an example for politicians in Egypt that you have to understand that you stay in power for a while and then you step aside and let others take their turn, and
Yes.
life has to go on. And I think this is a very good example.
Gentlemen, unfortunately our time is up. I'd like to thank you both for your
Thank
input.
you. Thank you.
I'd like to
Thank
wish you a very, very happy and prosperous
Thank you. Same to you.
2016. And wish the viewers a very happy new year. And there is definitely light at the end of the tunnel. We've lost hundreds of martyrs over the past few years, and their blood will not be wasted. This is all to build Egypt. I'd like to wish you again a very happy new year. See you same time next year, and good night.